Jeez, impressive work. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tommy. Behind me is the brand new AMG GT 63. It's an awesome car. I'm going to take you around it. I've had it for about 2 days now, and I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like. But first of all, I want to take you on an exterior tour in this wonderful summer's weather. So let's get started. If we come up front, the first thing I want to show you on the car is the Alphalbach logo, which is the AMG badge. So Mercedes no longer put the Mercedes badge on the front there on their AMG cars, just to give the AMG branding a bit more significance. However, you have the large Mercedes grille down here and this massive intake, which is nice. You also have new headlight designs, which are more sleek and more aggressive, shared with the SL, as a lot of these the components on this car actually are. The two cars share a platform, with this being the coupe version, the more aggressive, more sporty version, and the SL being the convertible version, which it kind of confuses people, but if you want to get one, I think this one might be the one to get. But I'll get onto that in a second. If we come around to the side, you will see these massive alloy wheels with carbon ceramic brakes inside, and the rubber on the exterior is Michelin Pilot S5 compound, which again, Michelin Pilot sport tires are great. The S5s do handle well in all weather, as you can tell, again, by this wonderful rain we're having. And if you come up here, you will see it's a V8 bi-turbo, no hybrid in this model that I have in front of me. This car is a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8, putting out about 577 horsepower, and the little symbol underneath, 4MATIC Plus, means it is 4-wheel drive, and that is standard from now on the AMG GT. And it also has a plus on the edge of the badge, which means you can change the 4-wheel drive system to be rear-wheel drive if you want, but the power of the 4-wheel drive system means that it can send 50% to the front or 100% to the rear. Yeah, anyway, if you come around to the side, you'll see the door, again, shared with the SL. It's all aluminium on this car because they tried to save weight, but weight is something I'm going to get to in a second. However, if you unlock the car, or if you press there, the door handles pop out to improve aerodynamic efficiency, and they are very easy to open, although they do feel a tad bit flimsy, but it does look cool. And at night, they do this little cool trick where they project the light around them. It just looks like something out of Terminator. I love it. If we come to this section of the car, you will see this model is a petrol car. There is a hybrid available with significantly more power, although again, it makes it significantly more heavy, and this car is already a very heavy boy. Let's go around to the rear. The active spoiler on this model is replaced with a fixed wing. This is the option I would choose. It just looks way more aggressive, makes the car look more sporty, as well as these blacked out Mercedes and AMG badges. Underneath here, we have the new tail light design, which has these 3 red sections, again, making the car look aggressive. I thought this was a light bar. However, it isn't a light bar. It is just a black piece of plastic, and then you have the sequential indicators flanking that. If we come down lower, speaking of black plastic, you have this massive black plastic diffuser, which doesn't actually seem active, but it looks cool. And then you can option it in carbon if you want, so I would probably try and do that. Although, if you get any scratches, scuffs, or bumps, it will be very expensive to replace. And you also have the iconic 4 AMG exhausts. You could probably tell the trunk opened up when I moved my hand close. It does have a sensor, so if you come in here, you will see it's a hatch, and there's tons of space to fit a human being, as I will demonstrate. Oh my God, I fell in the back. I'm not sure if it will close. Let's see if it will close. I don't think it likes humans being in the back. Okay, I'm going to get out now. But tons of space available back there. I'm now soaking, and then you can actually close the rear if you just hold onto the key, which is nice. I couldn't do that on my Panamera, but for some reason I can do it on the 2-door AMG GT. If we come to this side of the car now, you will see a black roof, but it's not just black. That is actually a panoramic roof system, so you can't actually open it up, and I think the reason for that is if you want to open it up, just buy an SL, which is a completely different car and will cost you more money. But it does let a lot of light into the cabin. Altogether, I think the new design, personally, for me, is better than the previous design. It just feels aggressive, it feels more sporty, and it doesn't look as awkward as the previous shape did. I really like it. Let me know in the comments what you think, this AMG GT or the previous model. So the interior of the AMG GT63 is very, very modern and very high tech. I think it looks pretty awesome. It's kind of ruined by this massive screen. However, you become accustomed to it and then you're grateful that it's there. It just means a lot of your functions are at your fingertips. And because it works like a phone works, it's very easy to get the hang of. Again, you have loads of space. It feels super luxurious. Everything looks and feels cool, and there's lots of ambient lighting to set the mood and just, you know, allow you to have that extra bit of personalization. Although my sister pointed out to me that some of these vents are in other Mercedes models, so it does make the experience less special when you're in the AMG GT 63. One thing that's really good is these sports bucket seats that are extraordinarily comfortable despite looking uncomfortable. I did about 3 or 4 hours in them yesterday and I have nothing to complain about. It just felt great. And my favorite part about the AMG GT 63 is that it's now available as a 4-seater, so you can fit very small people in the back or people with no legs. It is just nice to have that function. And if you have children, it means you can put them behind you and go on cruises if you don't want to take your daily car. Again, the roof helps it feel a bit more airy in here with this panoramic roof system. It feels nice, it just feels plush. There's a lot of Alcantara, leather everywhere. Nothing really feels cheap and it's put together quite well. It doesn't creak, although I noticed there's a slight rattle coming from the boot space, but I think that's just something loose in there. But altogether, the interior is very, very plush and very nice. The infotainment of the AMG GT63, like I said, the latest version of MBUX, it is very fast and very intuitive to use. You find yourself almost instinctively knowing where everything is. At first, it can be quite daunting, but the menu system is pretty straightforward. It gives you a nice layout, understanding where everything is, and it has a lot of cool features. For example, if I want to change the ambient lighting settings, you just click here. It's normally faster than that. You can change it to multicolor or monochrome, and then you just swipe to change. So yeah, you have all your seat settings in here as well. You have your climate settings that stay fixed underneath. It's very easy to use once you realize that they're there permanently. The only thing that confuses me, if you press the home button, sometimes it will take you to sat nav and other times it will take you to the menu, so you have to like double tap. If you pull down here, you have quick access to things like your heads-up display. You can turn off the speed warning that is mandated by the government now, because it just starts binging and bogging at you and it's very annoying. You can raise the front axle lift on this car. A lot of people have thought that this car doesn't have front axle lift, and instead it lifts the front bladder on the front of the car, which I'll talk to you about in a second. But it does have front axle lift, and it tilts the front of the car up, allowing you to access inconvenient spaces. Also, you have all your quick access buttons here, so you can swipe for volume. It's strange to get used to, but you do get used to it, and it works better than the volume controls in the Ferrari system, which is also touch. And here you have fingerprint touch, so you can save all your settings onto your fingerprint, so you can just jump in the car, press there, and it'll configure the car to be ready for you and ready to go and ready to drive. And here you have quick access to your car settings as well. And then wonderfully, you have quick access to the surround camera of the car, which is very clear, and it's one of the best surround camera systems I've used, just because it doesn't look as warped as it does in other cars. For example, in the BMW, it does get a bit blurry at certain angles, but here it seems to work just fine. And it's also, again, very, very clear. The driver's display in front of you, again, very clear. It has this nice animation. You can actually change the driver's display mode. So right now I have it in super sport mode, but if I press home, I can change it to track pace. I can change it to sport, which is like just the regular AMG mode, or I can go to the classic mode, which again, very, very easy to understand and very clear. The system's very fast, like I said. You have navigation. You can see your assistance in there, which is awesome as well. And in front of you, you have a heads-up display as well, but you can't pick that up on the camera because of the refresh rates. Also, on this screen, on the top right, you will see it has a picture of an AMG with a little blue symbol and a red symbol. These two symbols actually show the aerodynamics of the car, with red meaning fully engaged and blue meaning disengaged. Where this car has a fixed rear spoiler, the rear is always red. However, the car has a front bladder that can lower to improve a ground effect sort of effect, for want of a better word. Again, improving your aerodynamic grip. And if I show you here, you can actually, on the quick access buttons, configure this button and the one underneath it to have, for example, your front lip. So then it will lower, and then you get extended caution, reduced ground clearance, just because when that bladder fills up, it's easy to scrape on things. You also can have quick access for your exhaust, which opens up the exhaust valve. if you notice, the exhaust actually plays inside the car as well. Because the car's quieter, AMG put a microphone in the exhaust system so you can hear a bit of that tone inside the car. It doesn't sound super synthetic, but you can just tell that it's pumped in and it's being played. So here we are driving the AMG GT 63. One thing that I wanted to really talk about was the weight of the car. This car weighs 1,890 kilograms, which is very, very heavy. It's about 250 kilograms heavier than the previous model. But thanks to a new four-wheel steering system, four-wheel drive, and a differential at the rear, it does make it feel a lot more nimble than you would expect it to. It feels less like a heavy touring car and more like a sports car, which feels like wizardry to me because I'm not quite sure how they did it. I've driven a lot of cars now that seem to be really heavy but don't drive that way, so it makes me think that if these cars were light but still had the same tech, they would drive even better. But I can't complain with the way it drives. It feels good, it feels planted. And I think partially the reason it feels planted is because it's so heavy and is way down on the road. I'm going to take it through some twisty roads now, and let's see how it handles in the wet on twisty roads with 577 horsepower, brand new tires and brand new brakes, so I'm not going to push it in too much. I'm the only person that's driven this car so far, and I think it's only done about 200 miles, so I'm going to take it easy. The car is so comfortable, it's so good at doing the GT stuff. I'm currently in comfort mode, and I haven't batted an eyelid to think that I'm not in a GT car. Something that you get with supercars is that when you're doing normal stuff, they just don't do it very well. However, when it comes to the normal stuff, this does it exceptionally well. So that plays into more the fact that this car is a sports car, pretending to be a supercar rather than an actual supercar. The visibility is great, seeing all around you is easy, the mirrors are large, it doesn't feel compromised in any way. You have a lot of legroom, you have room behind you, you can take things away if you're going on a trip. So I don't see where this car is compromised at all. It just seems to be telling me more and more it should be a daily driver, which is incredible for a car with this kind of power and this kind of looks. Again, the handling is great. I'm still in comfort mode. I'm having no issues on the switchbacks in the wet. I'm not having any moments where I'm not confident in the car. It just feels easy to coast around the corners, and it doesn't feel intimidating in any way. Sometimes you may want intimidation because it adds to the, sports / supercar feel. But if you want to do that, you can change the car from comfort to sport plus, or if you're feeling really brave, you can put it in track mode, and that unlocks everything in the car to give you the most power, the less amount of traction control, and the most amount of fun. So should we try in track mode and see how this goes? So I've just realized you can't actually launch this car because it hasn't done enough miles yet, so sorry. I'll try and get this car back out when it's done a few more miles, but regular pull away start. Oh yeah, I managed to break traction control once there because it is wet, I think. Still feels very planted and very comfortable, even though the suspension is in its firmest setting. Sometimes when you drive a 911, you feel a bit skittish, they feel a bit bouncy because they're quite light, whereas this, because it's heavy, it doesn't ever feel like it's going to unsettle on the road, no matter what kind of road it is, and the direction change is very good. The steering wheel does not feel numb at all. It just feels like, again, something that inspires confidence when you're driving, and then that four-wheel steering system just makes the car feel a tad smaller than it actually is. It may sound a bit noisy here. I put down the window so you can take in the sounds of the 4-litre V8. I'll put it in track mode. We got a little underpass. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it sounds nice. I love this car. So the new AMG GT 63 has tons of power, as you're going to see as I proceed up this wonderful hill. So I'll downshift. Pick up the throttle, it's a bit wet. Four-wheel drive gives me the confidence I need. Jeez. All in all, I think that the straight line performance of this car is decent, it's good, but I think for the price, when you start considering how much this car is, you could get a 911 Turbo, you're close to Turbo S price, and those give you significantly more performance and significantly more power. So it's a weird one. I'm not sure why this car has to be this expensive, but I'm like appreciative of the performance, but I just think there's so many other options. Ferrari Roma, you could get a 911 Turbo that give you more power, but if power's not what you're looking for, and instead you're looking for something that you can daily, is a bit more low-key than those cars, and will still handle and do what you need it to do, it's perfect. So what do I think of the AMG GT63? I think it's a stunning car. It drives stupendously well, especially for a car that weighs what it weighs. At that price range, 170-ish thousand pounds with options, there are a lot of other cars you could get, other cars that maybe perform well, but none that are quite as comfortable in the same league or in the same category. So for 4 seats and a car that's super-ish, I think this is probably the one to get. And I would actually get one. In fact, I'm thinking of getting one, but maybe next year, I'll see. I have too many cars right now. I don't need another, but if I did want another, it would probably be the GT63.